Well, thank you, everybody. It's such a pleasure to be here today and to have the opportunity to share with you. Reema and I have spent a lot of time pondering on today's webinar and our educational program. So it's a great privilege to have you all with us today. And in today's session, we are going to be talking through the resilience mindset for business owners, what resilience means, how we cultivate one, a little bit of introductions of ourselves as well before we go into the detail, and then we'll do a mini group coaching exercise. So you'll have the opportunity to actually taste some of the group coaching that we've designed as part of our overall programming on the platform as well. And then we'll have a bit of time for open floor discussions as well, questioning, brainstorming, etc. Welcome, Neb. Yes, holding company founder. Really excited to have you here. And then we'll talk about our next steps. So if you haven't heard about All Things Black and Beautiful before, All Things Black and Beautiful is a social enterprise that I founded last year to help to level the playing field for Black business owners. Why Black business owners? The answer is very simple. It's because when you think about business growth and establishment, only 4% of Black business owners go beyond the first 3.5 years. And that's because fundamental decisions that are made at the onset of our businesses that basically hamper our growth. So what we are here to do, the platform All Things Black and Beautiful, is to amplify businesses by collaborating together, building community, and we offer market access. So we help to take the product and services from Black business owners to the market through exhibitions, trade shows, retail, etc. We collaborate together through innovative ways to market our product, to build community and partnerships. And then the third part of it is the education piece, which is the delivery of useful, tangible content through webinars, thought leadership, and coaching as well. And my name is Tolu Akindunni. I am the founder, and I'm a serial entrepreneur, done different things in my life, lifetime. I am an innovation strategist. Most of my experience has been in the corporate space in the last 18 plus years. But I have a passion for community, and that's what's driven me really to set up a social entrepreneur. I am passionate about economic equality. And so I'll pass the screen back to my colleague, Reema, whom I've known for, gosh, how many years? But Reema can introduce herself. Too many to count, indeed.
Thank you. Thanks, Tolu. So my name's Reema Gainley. I have a background in corporates, working for corporate businesses for about 13 years. I've created my own successful recruitment business upon leaving that. And I now run a leadership consulting company called Lead From Within. And we work with a range of leaders and founders, so from small business founders through to executive level leaders at big tech companies like Microsoft and IBM. I previously held a VP level role while I worked corporate side as well. And what makes me really passionate in particular about mindset work is that it's really benefited me for the last 10 years of my journey, particularly as a business founder. And I've studied psychological-based learnings, teachings, evidence-based approaches as well around mindfulness and cognitive behavioral therapy. So I do weave some of that into my coaching work. We can go to the next slide, please, that's fine. So when we're looking for a definition of what a resilient mindset is, it's essentially our ability to bounce back from a negative occurrence in our life. And obviously that can happen in all areas. So it's being able to control our emotional intelligence through our responses and through our emotions, so that we can keep that focus on achieving our goals. And as an entrepreneur, it's even more, my own personal experience, I found it even more vital in terms of being able to manage those changes in mindset in terms of the effect that it can have on performance. We see it in sports people all the time, right? For them, there's a direct correlation that if they're not focused, it affects their game. It's a similar thing, that particularly when you're starting a small business, you'll notice those shifts in your mindset, particularly when you're just starting out and there's only you. Learning how to tweak, learning useful techniques to keep that focus going can really impact our overall results. Another word for it is growth mindset. So Dr. Carol Dweck talks about growth mindset and fixed mindset, and I'll leave you to read what's written on the slides there. But essentially, a growth mindset is when we can accept that everything is a continuous learning journey, and that we aren't limited by what we've taught ourselves may be fixed traits. And yes, I think we'll flow to the next slide, Tolu. And when we're looking at the psychology around this and the research that's being done around this, it's very much an internal phenomenon based on our belief systems, our thoughts, how our thoughts drive our emotions, and how our emotions then go on to driving our behaviors. And Dr. Ginsberg, who's a human development expert, talks about these key areas that we can continue to work on to manage our resilience. So you've got competence, which is about our skill set, confidence, which is about our ability to step out of our comfort zone and face our fears, connection, how we're connecting with ourselves and how we're building those important relationships with others, character, so how we're showing up as authentically or as inauthentically as ourselves in certain situations, how we're able to give through contribution, and then coping and control when things don't go our way. Thanks, Tolu. And that we come across uncertainty as well when it comes to how we can create those new innovative ideas in our business. So Tolu, our innovation expert, is here to give us some insight on that.
Yes, indeed. As business owners, especially if our businesses are, in a small stage, or also, Nev just dropped something there. Yeah, I wrote a really good book on it as well in the Infinite Game. You're right about that. But as we are navigating through our business process, trying to figure out what is the right thing to sell, how to make money from it, how to maximize the opportunities, it is actually a search. In navigating innovation, and you're moving from a position of high uncertainty to the point where you're certain that this thing is going to work. And in fact, if there is actually a line that goes all the way through, as this red line goes down, there's another one that comes up where you then start to make money, and then you start to scale and grow, etc. But it's a search, and it starts with uncertainty right at the beginning. And so navigating the resilience mindset is almost like a relationship with uncertainty. Being able to go through the squiggly lines of trying to figure something out, pivoting, changing steps, moving on, and then disruption comes and hits you in the same way that we are now. And there's like, there's a recession coming. Oh, there's no recession coming. And we're just navigating through that squiggly line until the point where you then start to have clarity to execute. So what we are talking about here is building that resilience mindset, forming that direct relationship with uncertainty in a way that you can go through those twists and turns with the right tools and strategies. And so helping you with that search for the right problem to solve and the right way to make money and the right outcomes for your customers, et cetera, et cetera. So it's a search. And hopefully we can help you form that relationship at every stage.
So what's stopping us? So what's stopping us from taking those ambitious steps within our business? And it's an F word, not the swear word, F word, but the F word is fear. It's fear. And it's fear that keeps us comfortable. Part of us is biologically wired to keep safe. With the flight or fight response. For most of human history, if we're to do something different or stand out or say too much or be too much, we were likely to get killed. And it's even more of a generational thing for people of colour. For Black people in particular, there's been research done around this, and that kind of rhetoric stays within society actually for many years. And so fear is there to protect us, yet if we're in our comfort zone too much, we can't step out and take the risks that we need to take for growth. So if I allow you to click on some of those other things, Tolu, through the slide. So actually, in order to build a resilient mindset, we actually have to get comfortable with the uncomfortable. And often we will think, so I'll give an example of mine, whereby if I want to become a great public speaker, if I'm to think of myself going from where I am now of running webinars and development programs through to speaking in a stadium full of 50,000 people, that's quite an overwhelming, for me personally, that's quite an overwhelming thought. However, if I'm able to create those smaller steps to get comfortable each step of the way, then that's how I'm going to build confidence. Confidence is going to come as a result. We always think we need to find confidence first, when the truth is it comes as a result of us learning. And so here you've got the comfort zone, you're spreading out into the fear zone, where you may be affected by other people's opinions, you may find excuses and want to get back into being comfortable again. But if you can keep taking smaller steps forward, you'll learn more, and then you'll grow, and then you'll be able to actually realize your aspirations, achieve some of those dreams that you have, and find more meaning and purpose in terms of how you connect with your work professionally, and also how you connect in your relationships personally. And those steps to getting comfortable with the uncomfortable are things like curiosity, and they are things like vulnerability as well. So common reactions to fear that prevent or delay taking, that prevent us from taking action. And I'd love to know which of these are true for you. So I'm scared of. Who can relate to this one? What other people will think, say, or do based on what I do. You keep clicking through, Tolu. You can use your virtual hands, or you can use your own hands. Things not being perfect, a fear of losing money, a fear of not knowing what to do based on having too much information. I'm not going to read all of these out, but you get a feel for how many different ways fear can hold us back.
I think the interesting one is not having too much information. Like, well, there's so many directions to go. There's so many things to do. How do you just know the one way? Like, with the squiggly line, how do you know the one way to go to move forward?
Yeah. particularly with the world of social media these days as well. It's very easy. There's a big problem with children these days, right? Where they're comparing how they feel on the inside, how others look on the outside. And too much of that repetitive behavior can kind of set us back.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So essentially, when we're allowing fear to drive our thinking, and I'll let you click through again, Tolu, we end up living into our own identity. And this happens quite early on in life, right? No one teaches us this stuff at school. So we try and figure out ourselves how to fit in. And we're busy trying to figure out how to fit in at school. Work hard and you'll get good grades is one of the most common things that I see leaders having to shift their thinking with, and entrepreneurs having to shift their thinking with as they develop their businesses. We're taught to work hard so that we can achieve results in order to reach this magnificent destination called happiness. When the reality of the situation is that happiness, that peace of mind, that focus is actually something that needs to come first. And it's from that place of being and who we're being within that then creates or allows us to create what we want. And based on those series of behaviors that we've learned, we also then learn to create a social self, an identity that's really just based on the stories that we've told ourselves over the years. However, the truth is what got us to one level of success is not going to get us to the next level of success. And so really we need to start getting more and more comfortable with the idea of leaning into our edge and continuously, step by step, coming out of our comfort zone. And there are some behaviors like procrastination, being busy on the wrong things, i.e. being busy on the things that we're comfortable with and not on the things that make us uncomfortable. Wanting things to be perfect because there's a little voice in our head beating us up about not being good enough or whatever that may be. And as we're bringing in our identity into how we're creating our businesses moving forward, we can sometimes struggle to prioritize the things that actually make us serve our customers better, that make us feel more alive, that help us improve our relationships, both professionally and personally. And the more we're kind of closed off in our comfort zone, we are avoiding looking at new ways to innovate and grow and change. So I briefly touched on this before. But what this slide talks about is how we can still go back to it, is how our thoughts are, how every thought that we have, and these are some thoughts that we are not conscious of because we just don't silence our mind enough that often. But if we actually spent time listening to how we talk to ourselves every day, or how we talk to ourselves in certain situations in our head, we'll realize that triggers our emotions, and those emotions trigger our behaviors and our ability to take action or not take action, and that directly impacts our results. So we're going to do an exercise, which I think is the next slide, Tolu. Sorry, it's not the next slide, it's the slide after this. So I just wanted to share some good news that while some of that stuff feels quite heavy, or may feel quite heavy, the good news is that we always have that capacity to adapt and change. Humans are very, very good, right, innately at adapting to change. We've all learned to adapt and change with the pandemic. We've seen the whole world do it as well. And our past does not equal our future. We can create more intentional outcomes based on what we want to achieve if we can break those steps down.
Great. So now we get to the exercise bit.
Yeah, we do. But before we do, I'd love to just connect with you all and see what's resonated for you so far based on what we've been speaking about. If you could share one thing that's resonated, that would be really, really helpful for us.
Do we type it out or we speak it out?
You can speak it out. That would be great.
Obviously, like you rightly stated, and thanks, Reema, for this. This is beautiful. Obviously, fear. Fear is because fear of failure. Yeah, of failing again. It's one thing that holds me and lots of people I speak with back. You know, but going back to resilience mindset, I have a question. At one point in the journey to achieving what you want to achieve after numerous failures, do you think that you can't be resilient enough in your mind? Is there a point, or do you just keep going? Because at times you hear things about for you to really succeed, at times you have to fail a couple of times. At what point do you think resilience will fail you?
Do I think resilience will, what's the last?
Will fail. What time don't you have that mindset to keep going again? Oh,
okay, yeah. So basically to bounce back up again, you're saying. I think it's I think what's helped me, I'll just share my own experience, is I've learned how to respond instead of react. And there's an element of acceptance that comes in, right? That almost the biggest guarantee that we have in life is that you're going to get good times and you're going to get bad times. And you can't control that, but the only thing you actually have got some control of is how you respond to that. And that response comes through your ability to accept that you just don't have control on certain things, right? If you look at the businesses that were successful during the pandemic, they were the ones that embraced the kind of the bad. They saw opportunities. They're seeing opportunities to learn and being able to take failures as learnings and accepting really that is what it is. And you actually get to own your own peace, your own mental peace. And the way to own your own mental peace is actually by learning how to respond in a way that, you know what, who I'm being on the inside is who I'm being, and it's not going to be affected by the ups and the downs of life. And it comes through daily practice, essentially, of being able to reflect on your behaviors. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, if I could just chip in there as well, as the innovator that I am, one of the things that I encourage, particularly the corporates who are usually very rigid in an approach, and usually it's one try once and then they kill the initiative. You invest $1 billion or $1 million into something, it doesn't work, kill it. So that the courage to fail is not there, and people don't try because they've got to be really sure it's going to work before they put their neck out. And that could be very demoralizing sometimes because it stifles innovation, it stifles the ability to try and experiment. But it's that experimenting mindset. It's decoupling yourself as the business owner, as the sponsor, from the experiment. The experiment, it's what it is to find out something. It may fail, it may succeed, but ultimately you are getting one question answered. And as the leader in charge of that experiment, you are not the experiment. So the experiment failed, you didn't fail. And being able to decouple that and accept the learnings from that is always very, very important. And it's a practice that we encourage as well, as business owners, is when we're navigating uncertainty. So I just wanted to chip that in.
Yeah, thanks, Tolu. Anyone else like to share any insights so far, or anything that's resonated in particular, or any questions? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, go for it. Thank you. What's your?
Yeah, I just I wanted to just say that I appreciate this conversation. It's actually helping me to just remember some things that I learned in my MBA program, and then just life lessons. And I think for me, the biggest takeaway that I'm getting out of this is, with those situations that I kind of, I've been stagnant or frozen. I haven't moved forward. It's because I'm afraid. And I think, what I've learned in the past is the best way to combat fear is the way that children do. Like, children are kind of revered as being fearless, and the reason why they are is because they're curious. You explain something to a kid, the next thing out of their mouth is why. And so I think that when it comes to trying to solve some of these problems that I'm faced with, I think I've been asking the wrong question. I've been asking what and how, and I think I need to go back to why. And so, that's the takeaway I'm getting from this. And I just want to thank y'all for this conversation.
Yeah, thank you. That's a really powerful insight. Thank you for sharing. So what I'm hoping then is, before I move on, just open the floor out again to see if anyone else would like to share. If not, then we'll move on to the next exercise, which may help you to dissect things a bit more. So, Tolu, if you could click through, we're going to look at an exercise. So what I'd like you to do, sorry, just click through, because I think they're in a, it's my fault, the animation is not in a proper order. So I'd like you to pick one of your current business goals, either for this quarter or year, and just like to make sure you've got pen and paper or something to write this down on. So we're going to do this exercise. If you could reflect on a current business goal for the next quarter or year, and as you think of that goal, or as you put that goal down in front of you, what's the one major thing that you are most anxious or uncertain about? It could be in relation to a goal, it could be in relation to a particular situation you're having to resolve right now, or an aspiration or a longer term aspiration that you have if you're going through a particular change right now. But as you connect with that goal, that one thing, so pick one thing, what are the 3 biggest fears that you currently have? How could you describe those fears? Is it anxiety? Is it, what are you actually scared of? Are you scared of failure? Are you scared of what others may think? Are you scared of associating being a failure with failing in an experiment? What is that? So there you're really looking to identify the thinking behind that. Okay, thanks, Ned. And then behind those 3 statements that you're giving yourself, what are those emotions and how are they making you feel? Oh, let's go back, Tolu. Thank you. And then what's the action that you're taking or not taking, and what's the bottom line result of how you're thinking about your goal? And if you can just raise your hand or your virtual hand when you've completed this slide, we can move on to the next part. Okay, are we good? Can we move to the next one? Okay. So, now I'd like you to think of a time where you have had a notable business success that initially you were scared of. So at some point in your career or business journey, pick a success that you've had, which initially scared you and that you overcame. And once you've picked that, I'm going to do a similar thing again. So Tolu, if you could click through, please. Yeah. And see if you can recall those initial fearful thoughts that came up for you. And what thoughts and beliefs did you adapt to? Did you actually face and adapt to in order to create the success that you had? What was the feeling? And what actions were you able to shift? And just remind yourself of what that eventual outcome was. And more important than that, not just the eventual outcome, but what did you learn? It's normally relatively easy to think of those successful moments. And once you've done that, I'd like you to ask yourself how you can apply any of those insights to your current fear or hesitancy to achieve what you want in your business. So going back to that goal that you were looking at the start of the exercise, how can you apply any insights that you've had from reminding yourself of your ability to succeed? If everyone's done, we would really love to invite you to share any insights from the coaching exercise